How to get employees to follow procedures. Before you rewrite your SOPs or retrain your employees, listen to this. I've documented thousands of processes, and here's the real reason why they're not being followed. This is the pattern I've seen across industries, and I'll tell you how to fix it. By the end of this video, you will understand why employees ignore procedures and what does it take to get them consistently followed across the company. We gotta remember that documenting processes is not the same as implementing processes. But implementation cannot happen without documentation because you don't have anything to implement. Documenting the procedures is very, very important. And that's what we do day in and day out across many industries, hundreds and hundreds of companies, but it's not the end. There is actually no end because it's a continual process. But the end of the phase where you can say, my processes are being used, is when you actually had the implementation phase done. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video today. How do we actually implement it correctly? So yes, we got to have the processes documented, but then you have to take those documented processes and implement and ensure that they are being consistently followed. Now that takes a commitment, it takes time, it takes dedication, and it is a project. If you ask me, do I have a choice? Can I decide whether to do it or not? I would say you always have a choice, but if you want to be successful, you absolutely need to implement it. You absolutely need to do that. Just like you have a CRM and it probably wasn't very easy to implement it completely, especially let's say if you switch from one to another, but you did it. So this is a project and you have to look at it that way. You got to get the leadership team behind it and you have to have a process champion. You got to have someone internally in your company that is the process champion, that has the ability to think with processes, is very process oriented, but also their responsibility is to see that those processes are going to get rolled out and implemented in the company. And that is one mistake that I see, that the project is basically an orphan. Nobody owns that project. So if nobody owns that project, guess what? Just like anything else in business, in life, it doesn't get done. So having someone, maybe it's your COO, maybe it's your integrator, maybe it's the second in command, whomever, it might be your production manager that is very much aligned with processes and sees the importance of it. But you gotta have that person. You gotta identify that person, make that person the process champion in the company, and give them enough authority across the company to implement those processes. So that is very important, and that goes along with the first step. Always has to be to get buy-in from everyone in the organization, and then the utilization of the processes. I recorded several videos on how to make sure that your processes are consistently being followed. So make sure to subscribe to my channel and watch those videos. But the first step is to identify that person that is going to drive the implementation of the processes in your company. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.